Welcome back, folks, to another episode of Business from the Bass Boat Podcast. I am your host, Adam Deakin. Today's episode is presented by Rec Lending, and we are on the Serious Angler Network. And folks, the partners of this network kind of make this possible. So in any way, if you are in the market for a used boat, new boat, whatever it may be, and you are looking at financing options, please consider Rec Lending, in addition to now their insurance options, which we will get into here in the coming weeks. But anyways, folks, great show today. I have been absolutely slammed. Kind of end of my tournament sprint for the early summer, late spring. Kind of glad to have a little bit of a break here, but a lot of local stuff, and then went and fished the California Delta last week, and then scooted back and all of a sudden jumped out on a local lake here for a big memorial tournament. Had 50 boats, and it was a blast yesterday. Super unique format. But today's show is your vintage awesome Business from the Bass Boat show, where it's like, hey, a product that is coming to market, is kind of making its debut, and is doing awesome things. And this is a buddy of mine that we fished together against each other in college years ago. And I think that's what's one thing that's super cool about the fishing industry, is you kind of meet people and then you stay friends with them and just watch each other kind of grow through life. So anyways, without further ado, let's get my man Gunnar Stanton on. What's going on, Gunnar?
What's up, Adam? How are you, man?
Dude, I'm doing great. Got the Zoltar hat on. Love it.
Always. Wherever the camera's facing. I'm still trying to get used to this flip camera thing. I don't know where to look.
Camera.
I think I got it dialed in now.
The worst is like when we're ever trying to show like a bait off, it's always like, which way do I go? What do I do?
Yeah, my brain can't comprehend it. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, dude, first of all, thanks for coming on to the show. And
Absolutely.
We were talking a little bit off air, but man, you are in the desert. It is June. And you had a derby yesterday that I think had some temperatures that would send some guys to not fish.
Yeah, my buddy was in Michigan for this derby, so I was solo, and it was like 10 o'clock, and I hadn't jumped in the water yet, and I just wanted to put the boat on the trailer and go home. Felt like I was hallucinating out there, so I hopped in the water, and then it changed my whole day around, and I started catching them. But yeah, it's definitely brutal out here.
Dude, wild. So you are right there in Boulder City, right outside of Lake Mead, and out there on the historic Lake Mead from U.S. Open standpoint, first classic, all that kind of stuff. But tell us a little about Lake Mead and what do you do here in June? I mean, this time of the year.
Yeah, that's about our only hope out here. If we didn't have the lake here, I don't know if I could live out here. In the summertime, my dad's got a boat and a slip out here, so we go out after work and kind of go float by the dam, and that and the pool is about the only way you can stay cool out here. So, but the lake fishing wise, man, it's been amazing since COVID. I don't know if the lack of pressure during COVID helped it, or the water level sustained for a little bit and had a couple good spawns, but we've had a blast at Mead the last couple of years here.
That's awesome. And I know, right, like a lot of the water level conversation always across the country gets brought back to Lake Mead when it comes to everything, right? And the U.S. Open obviously has been a deal there, and then they've moved it to Mojave since, and then kind of back, or they're considering going back. I mean, so were there just less boats in general during all of that time frame because there was only a couple of boat ramps open, or could you even get on the lake?
Well, so it was a combination of the two. So let's see, I don't know what came first, the water level being low or COVID, but the water level was so low that we had a single lane on the entire lake, and that was at Hemingway, which is about 10 minutes from my house. So it was a single lane on pipe mats, which is big, like corrugated metal sheets that they would just lay out there. And sometimes they wouldn't keep up with bringing them back far enough. And I know a couple of people that fell off of them and slashed 2 of their tires on their trailer.
Oh,
so we had that to deal with. If you had someone that didn't know what they're doing in front of you, or a couple of people, you're there for 3 or 4 hours when you're trying to get off the water. So that was a blast. And then COVID, the Nevada side, so Colville Bay, Hemingway, and Echo Bay, they shut us down. We couldn't be on the lake at all because you don't want to be outside breathing fresh air during a pandemic, right? So,
of course not.
Yeah, that'd be crazy. But the only one open then was Temple Bar and Greg's Basin. I'm not even sure. I think they finally got the lane up and going then. But yeah, it was wild times for sure. So I had to cross the Hoover Dam, and anytime I wanted to go fish, I'd go at Willow Beach or something like that. But it was crazy.
Okay.
So,
Wow. And
but yeah,
so you're thinking all of that like made the fishing just incredible over the years of like of just the lack of pressure from that standpoint?
yeah, I don't know for sure though. I mean, it's not like the lake gets it's so big, and it's not like it gets so much pressure to where it could kill it. I mean, we have Havasu here. That lake gets hammered, and there's guys out there every day of the week. I
Mhm.
don't know what it is, but it just seems like the lake came back really good since then. The problem usually is the water. The water will come up like February and March every spring, and it's awesome. There's flooded brush everywhere. It's like the new lake effect. And then freaking right like early April when the spawn really starts to get going, they pull the plug, and the fish that have
Oh, I see.
spawned, the fry has nowhere to go. There's no grass yet, and the striper just decimate them. It's really hard for them to catch up and get a good spawn. It seems like. Um, but I think the last year or two we've had enough brush in the water in the springs to where it's kept it going. And I was out yesterday and the lake's just alive, bluegill, little bite-sized tilapia everywhere. I've never seen so
Really?
many cats. Yeah, I've never seen so many catfish in my life. It's definitely fully alive right now. So
Wow. That's the first place I think I ever saw a tilapia, like
yeah,
ever, you
they're
know.
wild looking.
But
Yeah,
yeah, like they were spawning next to like some crappie and bluegill beds and bass beds and everything else. And I was like, what are those things? And then like, you know, you hear of all the guys in Florida talking about tilapia and that kind of a thing. But so were they just released in there? Like, how did they get in there?
yeah, I don't know how that worked. I would assume so. The Las Vegas Wash is right there. That's kind of where most of the bank fishermen come from Vegas, and there's all sorts of wild stuff that gets dropped in there.
Yeah.
Because you have there's Lake of Las Vegas. I think when you were fishing the college tournament there, you guys probably drove by it. It's that like private
Yeah.
lake. So up above that is called the Wetlands in Henderson, and that all
Okay.
flows into the lake. So, and that's all Vegas, and there's a bunch of crazy stuff that happens out there. So I have no idea what gets dumped in the water and makes its way down to the wash, but I've seen some crazy pictures of all different type of fish that have been caught in there. But those tilapia are cool,
That's
man. They just move different. The way their fins like undulate, and they're just like they're like
yeah.
electric blue sometimes, and their beds look like a 5 gallon bucket in the water. Like they're weird
Huge.
fish for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and
But I
I forgot
mean,
to say that tournament yesterday was won with 18 pounds, which is insane weights for me in June. That's like unheard
in
of.
June,
So it's definitely back. Yeah.
that's freaking awesome. And so as far as that guy's bag, was it green ones, brown ones, a mix? What
Yeah.
did it look like?
All green for sure. This time,
Mm,
like I would say from like March till now, if you're weighing in brown ones, you're not looking too hot usually. They say you weigh brown, you go
really?
down. Yeah, in the summertime when they start to school up, in the fall and the winter, the smallies definitely start to play. But if you're not chasing green ones in the spring, you're usually not going to be up there in the running. I mean,
Yeah.
I say that, and this year some guys caught some 4 and 5 pound smallies, but generally that's been the case on Lake Mead in the spring.
Got it. Got it. And there's been some like historically on mead, right? I remember someone telling me a story. There's been some like random giant greenfish, right? Like some like 8, 9, 10 pounders, right? Kind of in that Vegas wash
Yeah,
or historically
yep.
speaking.
My buddy Nate, he fishes tournaments here and there as a co-angler, but he's a big swim bait guy, and he was out in the wash. I forget how many years ago, maybe like 5 or 6 years ago now, throwing like a depths 250 or something. I think he caught like a 10 or 11 pounder.
That is nuts.
So, and then yeah, I was
Like,
talking about that new lake effect that we get sometimes in the spring when that water comes up. I think it was 2013 or 2014. We had that deal. The water came up, and I think it stayed for a while. And there was a memorial tournament called the Pat Donho tournament that's every year, and I'm pretty sure Kona Borgia won it with 28 pounds,
oh
and
my
there
gosh.
was I think second place was like 27 or 26, and there was like 4 or 5 bags over like 24 pounds. So imagine catching 24 pounds on mead in spring and getting fifth place. And
That
there
is
was a 10
insane.
pounder caught in that tournament too. So it was crazy. I think that was really when the gizzard shad started to show up, from what I remember. And there was the guys that caught them good were catching them around crappie eaters. But like I said, that new lake effect, when that brush stays up long enough, it seems like everything really comes alive.
Well, and that's kind of like the way the West Texas lakes. I mean, a lot of desert lakes that are that way, but you see that in all the West Texas lakes. Like they catch water for a couple of years, or they're drawn down, all that brush grows up, and then they catch water for a couple of years, and it's like boom, like it just turns
Yep.
into the giant bags, the Amastads, the Falcons, OH Ivies. Like those are all kind of that same boom and bust cycle.
Yeah, I guess it's just nutrients. I mean, I don't know if it's all the plant matter decomposing and feeding all the bait, and then everything else eating the bait. I don't know exactly how that works out, but yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah. Well, awesome, man. Well, let's get into your new side hustle, if you will.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but man, I saw I've been just keep up with you on social media and everything else, and I keep seeing these dock defender stuff coming up, and I'm just like, man, what's going on here? I see a promo video. We've got all these guys holding stuff, but give us a breakdown of how this came about, man, and what's the product in general.
Yeah, so I made a set back in March. I saw a video. Some guy made them in his garage, and I was like, dang, those are sweet. So I made a set for my boat and posted a video on Facebook, and all my local tournament buddies are like, dude, make me a set. This is awesome. And I was like, all right, cool. This could be a little fun side hustle. At the time, I was painting all of them by hand. So I'd have to sand it, prep them, paint them. I did like 3 or 4 coats. And I kind of got in over my head at first. It was like so much work painting these things. It took me like, I would say from start to finish, one set was like an hour. So, and I had like 15 or 16 orders. And I was like, damn, this would be cool, but I just can't find like an efficient way to do it. I kind of got burnt out on it right away. And then like right when I was making those first sets, I sent a message to John Murray, who I've met here at the US Open a couple of times, and he's been super cool to me. And I was like, hey, man, I'm going to send you a set if you like them. Maybe post a picture or something for me. And he's like, sweet. So I sent him out to him. Like I said, that was March. And then I'm laying in bed. It was Memorial Day weekend, Monday. And I didn't hear anything from John after I sent him to him. And my Facebook Messenger for Dr. Fender just starts going off like you see like in a video, like when people say something blows up overnight, like every like 3 or 4 minutes, it was like, how can I get a set of these? How can I get a set of these? And I was like, I didn't have a website set up. All I had was a Facebook account. Like when people would want to order, I'd be like, just shoot me a message on what color you want. You don't have to pay yet. I'll make them and then you can pay me. I had nothing set up. So the next day, I think by the end of the day on Monday, I had like 150 or 160 messages. Like, I want a set. I'm like, what do I do? So my sister, Karina, my sister Karina helped me get a set going or get a website going. So at least I could manage my orders and like get some money up front and keep track of everything. Cause like I said, Facebook Messenger and my notes app wasn't cutting it. So that was huge, getting that website set up. And then a couple of my buddies here are tradesmen in Vegas and work's been kind of slow. So they've been laid off lately. So I'm like, dude, all the beer you want, all the food you want, I'll pay you some cash. Like, let's get all hands on deck here. And I had my buddy Colin painting them for me. Like, we were trying to catch up with these orders. I had like 50 or 75 orders like the day after Memorial Day, like locked in, paid. And he started painting them. I came over, he worked a full day, 8 hours, and he had like 15 sets painted. And I was like, dude, this is not going to work. Like, how am I going to keep up with this? So I got in contact with our graphics company who we use for the Zoltar machines, the stickers on the machines, and they started wrapping them for me like a boat, like a vinyl wrap.
Oh, really?
So that was a complete game changer for me. So I just bring the raw material to them. They charge me a little bit to wrap them, and that's the only reason I've been able to keep up with these orders. We can really knock these out now. So that was if I never discovered that, I would just have to refund these people money. There's no way I could keep up with this unless Colin was wearing his respirator 24/7 and painting in his garage. There's no way I could have kept up. So that the wrapping of these things was definitely a huge breakthrough for me.
That's so cool, man. Well, like what I love about it is like in business in any size capacity, whatever it may be, right? It's like, hey, this isn't working, but you have the demand. And you're like, okay, there's something here. Let's figure this out.
Yeah.
And then you're like, hey, what about, you have your connection from your real gig and all of this. And then it's like, let's wrap these things. And it all starts to come together. That's really cool.
100% connections, man. And none of this would have happened without talking to John Murray and having him post that picture. Thankfully, I don't think he understands the impact that one photo had. Just a real basic snap. And there's like, I think the page or the post has like 5,000 likes and like a couple thousand comments. And it's just crazy the pull some of these older guys have. Yeah, the following on Facebook. And then so after that, I really started like okay, this is like something real. Like I need to get back on this and figure it out. So I posted that promo video my buddy Brooks Rowe made. He's the marketing manager at Snow Basin Ski Resort. So he's
Oh,
like,
wow. Cool.
anytime I have anything like this or I want to make a cool video or something, he's like, all hands on deck. He'll come out, help me out. And he does great work. So I posted that promo video on TikTok and on my Doc Defender page. And between two, I had one video on there before showing off the product. And that video, I think I'm at like 1.5 million views right now. So I had that John Murray rush right away where I sold, I think, like 115 sets or so. And then it kind of tapered off a little bit. And then I posted those videos on TikTok last Friday. And me and my wife went down to Vegas for our anniversary. And I posted that video. And all of a sudden, my Square app, my store, just starts going bing, 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 bing. And over that weekend, I think I had like 30 to 40 orders a day. And like we're in Vegas trying to relax and enjoy our anniversary. I'm just like, how am I going to get this done? Because my sister had the great idea of saying order before Monday and I'll have them shipped out before Father's Day. I was like, sweet, that might help me get like five or six more orders or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like sitting there like, oh my gosh, I'm not gonna be able to make this happen. So all those orders came in and my buddies, Jack, Colin, and Phil, they all came over and helped me out and we busted those things out and got them all to the post office in time. So yeah.
Dude, that is so cool. Oh man, this is like, it's like the stories like that you hear about of like something not, you're like, let's see what happens. And then it's just like, guys, we've gone viral. Like it is happening right now.
Yeah, literally. It's like you see those videos on TikTok all the time of the printers with the postal labels going crazy. Like that's how it's been like at the shop trying to get all these orders out and boxing these things up and putting the decals on them and assembling them. Like it's we got it pretty dialed in now, but it's still pretty labor intensive. So I might have to find myself a couple high school fishermen or something that might want some baits and some cash to start working for me.
Now we're talking. So yeah, so pull it back up. Go ahead. I was just gonna say, let's explain how to use it and everything else for hooking up your boat to a dock, and I'll talk through it the best you can for anyone who's going to listen to this MP3 and not be on YouTube.
Yeah, no problem. So I got a stick here. It's like, I think it's 16 inches from tip to tip. Some rubber ends here to keep it from rubbing on your rub rail or your fiberglass and scratching up your boat. So I got this cord here. One end's a loop. I usually put the loop on my boat, and then you can slide this down here. So you slide the pipe down, and it allows you to cinch that down real tight. Okay, so that's the biggest key is get that thing butted up against the cleat and sliding this down and getting it as tight as you can because you don't want any play in there. Okay, so you get that on your boat, crank it down, and then I always use this on the dock, obviously, because you're not always going to have a cleat. So I have two hooks here. So you either go through the cleat, wrap it around, like I said, get it real tight so it can't move. That'll allow the boat not to move back and forth. But like yesterday at Colville, I have all these TikTok comments. If you ever want some free entertainment, go to my TikTok comment section. It's a lot of people going nuts on me. What happens if the cleats don't line up? Like blah blah blah. These are never gonna work. So I have these hooks here. So like some of our docks are floating docks without cleats, and there's metal cross members that go like side to side underneath, like where you step on a dock. So I just hook these there. You can hook them around a pole, like those floating docks in the Midwest and stuff that just have a big pole. You just hook them there.
Yep.
I mean, there's a lot of ways to use them. You just got to get creative. But everyone always asks me why there's not two loops on it. But that's the reason. Because if it was two loops, you'd have no way to cinch it down and get it tight, and it'd just be all floppy, and your boat would be moving. And if you didn't have two cleats, you'd be screwed. So you're not always going to have a cleat to line up to. So these hooks allow you to do that. So it kept it a little more versatile.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, and it's funny that people can't figure that out. It's like, hey, there's two cords here with hooks. Like you can get it around anything, so long as
it's you know how fishermen and boaters are, man. It's the egos. They just want to say that they know more than you, and people are like, oh, this isn't gonna work on a tidal place. Like, no crap, dude. I think you'd have to adjust anything where the tide fluctuates. Yeah. I never said that you could use it on a tidal body of water, but I'm just trying to show off my product. And if you think it's cool. If not, go about your day. But actually, I love the negative comments because it's great for engagement. So I think that's what
I was going to say.
That's what blew the views up.
Comments
so I'll take
engagement.
Yep.
Yeah,
I've been going through after I've had a couple beers and going back at the comments, and it's really hard not to snap back at them, which I have a couple times because it's just entertaining. But I got to be better, be a little more professional about that. But it's too fun. So,
that's
but yeah,
that's really
that's
cool.
about
So,
it.
so
I
what's
think
the
I
pipe
have.
made out of?
It's just PVC pipe.
Okay, gotcha.
Yep. So it's 3/4 PVC and it's super rigid. I think it's like
Yeah.
schedule 40, whatever the thickest one is. Um, but what was I going to say before? Oh, I think I have 8 colors on the website. So I got some
Okay.
bright colors, some fun ones like maroon, cherry red, gold, orange, which is like my favorite. And I have all these ideas I want to get on the website, but like I said, I've just been trying to keep my head above the water with these orders here. But I'm thinking about doing like a form submission and like charging a
Okay.
little bit more for a custom set where you could have like get a vinyl wrap on it, like a camo wrap or your boat brand or your name or whatever you want to do on it. So
Oh
I
yeah.
can get that figured out when orders settle down a little bit, but these are selling good enough right now. But after that, I have some ideas. I want to do some fun stuff with them. So
That's awesome, man. Well,
yeah,
and one thing I wanted to go back to on the John Murray thing, and I think even being in the podcast media product space with things, it's always interesting to me to see the power of media and everything else. But I had and I'm blanking on his name. I think it's Ryan, but the owner of X Zone Lures come on,
okay,
and we were just talking about like when he started his plastics company and he was doing everything and he was trying to grow it. And then I think his first kind of kickoff was with like G-Man and he did
okay,
something with G-Man very early. And he was like, dude, like it absolutely inundated us. Like the power that some of these it's like you said, the older guys and just people have in the media, it's incredible
yeah,
and he
yeah,
blew things up. He was like, I need to chase this, right? And then that's when like he brought on BP and
yeah,
like that's kind of like his thing is like he saw the power of it and then he's like, I need to go chase down the Brandon Poliniks of the world because like of how much power there truly holds here. And I'm sure guys have been
yeah.
burned doing that, but like you're seeing it firsthand from a guy posting a picture for you. That's freaking cool.
Yeah, well, it's really interesting too, though, because at the same time, it seems like in fishing, like everything's getting so repetitive and it's so saturated to where, like, I honestly didn't anticipate that type of reaction to just a simple Facebook picture. Because I mean, dude, you scroll through your Instagram or your Facebook feed, hey, I'm Gunnar Stanton with blah blah blah. Here, check out this new game changer bait. You know, like it's the same. Like it's like it just
Right.
copy and paste. It seems like you see all the same posts. So I was really shocked, but I think it's just shows like how big of an impact these legends of the sport actually have. And like Brandon Palaniuk, I mean, you can't get any better at social media than that guy. Like the content he puts out is amazing. But like John Murray,
Right.
a lot of younger kids don't understand how much of a freaking animal that guy was and how much he's done for the sport out west and how many boats he's won and all these tournaments he's won. Um, but yeah, you can't put a number on it. So his sponsors are lucky for sure to
No
have him
doubt.
represent.
And
Yeah.
And John, does he comes back out and fishes the US Open pretty much every year, right? I mean, he's living in Missouri now, right? Or Table Rock, something over there.
Yeah. I think he's on like right by Watts Bar. I think that's in
Okay,
that area.
never mind.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But yeah, ever since I remember, I fished it. I got a funny story if you got time about the U.S. Open with him.
Yeah, dude, we got plenty of time.
Okay, cool. I think I was 16 when I first fished it as a pro. So you
Okay.
can imagine the jitters there. I was so nervous. It was the
Yeah.
first day of the tournament, and I get to my starting spot and they don't bite. So I pull around the point. I go into the back of this cove, and I'm on the right side of it fishing in, and John's on the left. And we're about to come into the back and meet, and like we're just creeping up, and I'm like I said, 16, don't really know what I'm doing. First pro tournament. I'm like, all right, I'll just go around him and keep going. So I got way out around him. Like I wanted to be respectful, got around him. I was like going around him, and he just turns around and stares at me and casts right at my boat and goes, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Oh, I thought I was just going around you." He's like, "No, you're not. Turn around." And I was like, "Oh my god, what?" I was like, told my Coney, I was like, "I'm getting out of here, dude." And now I went to my next spot and started fishing again. And I was just like unstrapping my rods, like shaking, like getting my strap off. And I think I talked to him about it after, and I'm like, dude, I don't know if you remember or not. He's like, oh yeah, I remember. I think he was just messing with me. He saw a young punk kid just trying to. He knew how easily he'd get in my head, and it definitely worked. I was so scared the rest of the day. But ever since then, he's been super cool to me. And every time I see him, I talk to him, and we get a good laugh out of it. But yeah, that was like the what do they call it? Like the welcome to the NFL moments they talk about. That was like the welcome to the U.S. Open moment. Yeah, you're not as good as you think you are, buddy.
No, you're not. What are you doing?
Yeah, and he's like a bear, dude. Just a big dude. I'm like the little kid up there, just like, oh, sorry, sir. I thought I was doing the right thing. But yeah, it was hilarious. So that's probably a pretty good example of how my tournament went. My first pro tournament there. I was on the fish to do good, but just mentally, just the stress of trying to fish your first pro tournament when you're that young. I think I ended up like 130th out of 160 or something. But it's good. Yeah. Good learning experience for sure.
No doubt, man. That's awesome. And that's pretty, like, I couldn't imagine living at a place where you have the US Open come back to that would just be so incredible every year to just competing for that and seeing everyone come into town. Like that is like, because there's not outside of like your classic, your Red Crest, your Toyota Series Championship, but those all move, right? Like the US Open, other than in this last couple of years of going down to Mojave, has always been historic in the same place. And I just feel like that would be so fun to compete in as much as I could if it was that close kind of thing.
And you can see the drawing power of it for these guys out east coming out here and wanting to get one under their belt, like even they all know about it out here. Like it's definitely a staple to have in your whatever you want to say, your trophy case or whatever as a pro fisherman. Like all these guys, 100%. even the guys that have fished MLF and the Elite Series their whole life, so they still want to come out and get one of those because you got Rick Klun's won. I think he's won 2. Aaron Martin's had 3. Folkstead had 3. I think Roy Hawk's got 2. But it's just a fun tournament and a grind. So I think it's a one you really got to earn. They used to have it in September, which was, dude, you get up. I think the sun's still up like I think 13, 14 hours a day or whatever. You get up at 4 a.m., get off the lake at 9 a.m. or 9 p.m. Your batteries barely have enough time to charge. Like, I don't know how guys do that for a week straight. Or the old guys out there, like the old guys, the old co-anglers and the older fishermen, it's like respect to them because it was a grind. October's a lot easier, but I hope he doesn't move it back. I guess dude, the one on Mead's going to be September this year, so that's going to be a marathon for sure.
And that's kind of like, from what I understand, talking to him of why they did that is they kind of wanted that old feel of the U.S. Open, which was just brutal. Like I've never fished the U.S. Open, and it's a bucket list thing for me. And I've never fished it in September, but every old guy I talked to, or the guys who've been doing it consistently, I mean, they just have like war stories after war stories.
It's like Nam, dude.
Yeah,
Vietnam of bass fishing for sure.
Like 120 degrees 5 days in a row. It's like, oh my gosh. Like
insane. I think they did it in July and August for a little bit too, which would be even worse, believe it or not. So then in September was the gnarliest too, because you usually have monsoons coming in the afternoon. So you're 115 in the morning, slick calm, and all of a sudden it's like someone flips a light switch and you got like 30-mile-an-hour wind and lightning and rain. I fished with Cliff Perch as a co-angler. And we're coming in like towards the end of the day, making a couple casts at Colville, like before we head in. Yeah. And there's lightning above us. And you know how short Cliff is. He's up there fishing. And lightning pops above us and our line starts floating from the static electricity. He's like, just stay low. And I'm like, what do you mean, dude? You're tall. I'm way taller than you. I'm like trying to like crouch on the back deck to not get zapped. But that was the coolest part of the US Open. It's like the Wild West, you never know what's going to happen out there.
Dude.
So I really hope they can get it back on Mead.
Yeah, I think historically it's just got too much of a rich history there that it needs to continue. And dude, like that's what I think people don't maybe necessarily realize from a national scale. And maybe they do, but just the West has such brutal afternoon storms and things. And I know other places in the country have like tornadoes, so I'm not gonna like sit here and complain a ton, but like the Lake Mead can get freaking big. Like I've been in some big water on a lot of from the northeast part of the country to South Dakota to like here and like, man, it is Lake Mead can get seriously dangerous like fast. Like I was
Dude,
impressed with how big it can get in the desert.
it's bad. It can get bad, and we're lucky now with the water being so low. There's a lot more break in the wind. Like back in the day when you could run up into the Grand Canyon and way up into the Overton and the Muddy the other ways, like those guys would have to get gas on their run and come back, and they were running 18 footers back then. I think with a 150, I think that was like the standard bass boat, or maybe a 200. But I've heard so many stories about them coming across the basin, just like they say like 8 and 9 footers, which we tend to exaggerate sometimes. But when that basin was so big and so huge, there's nothing to stop that wind. Like I think it's Lake Mead's almost a little tame since the waters came down. But Lake
Got it.
Mojave is the one you got to watch out for. That's the
Dude.
gnarliest one. I think you said
Yeah,
where
well,
you might have done in the championship there, right?
right. Well, and that's
Yeah.
when so we ended up blowing a quick story for everybody. We blew a power head on my buddy's boat. Yeah, I don't know. Turner and I maybe shouldn't fish together because we've popped some power heads in our day together. But anyways, we blew a motor on the final day at Havasu, and we had qualified for the ABA championship on Mojave. And so we are like scrambling, and we're like, what do we do? We're trying to find a power head in town. And so called Gunnar up, and Gunnar's like, dude, boat keys are here. Come on. Like, and so we borrowed your Triton. And that's when I was like,
Titanic.
the Titanic, dude, and the 21-foot Triton was a monster in the waves. Like it was big, and it was like,
Yeah.
oh, we're fine. We are solid as a
It's
rock.
like a walleye hole, man. That thing ate up the waves so good. I love that boat. It was awesome.
Yeah, that thing is
So,
a beast, dude.
but yeah, you
Seriously,
saw that
that
lake.
thing,
So I mean, it's pretty narrow, but it's straight north to south, and that valley just funnels everything right down to the basin. And if you get a north or south wind, which obviously it is most of the time, it's like you'll be up north and the winds come from the south and it's slick calm, and all of a sudden it just looks black, and it's slick calm to 4-foot rollers, like just like someone flips a light switch. It's crazy.
that's
And that's
crazy,
what the
dude.
thing is with these lakes out here, man. People don't take them. They don't respect them enough. These people from Vegas bring their boats out. They had a good year selling whatever they're selling in Vegas and buy like a giant wake boat and come out and don't have any water in their boat. And one of those monsoons comes in. And I think Lake Mead is, I know it has been in the past, but almost every year I think is like the deadliest national park in the country.
People go out there and sink boats.
Well, that and like people will jump off the boat in the middle of the lake without like a life jacket or a floaty or something, and the wind comes up and the wife and kids are in the boat, don't know how to start the boat drifts away. Or people
No.
off the beaches, they just banned like float. It sounds stupid. They banned like pool noodles and stuff to keep people afloat, but when the wind blows from the beaches, it blows their floaty away. They go out swimming after it. Next thing you know, they're 500 yards off the bank and they can't catch their floaty they were going out for, and they sit out there and drown. But yeah, it's gnarly, man.
Wow.
You gotta respect these lakes out here for sure. Just all the conditions, the heat, a lot can go wrong up there for sure.
Yeah, yeah. No, and I've heard so many stories too of guys, and you're saying the basin there, like coming through the narrows, and you're just flying through the narrows, and then you just get hit in the face with, like you're saying, like 6-footers, and you're just like, oh my gosh. But like guys have sunk
Yeah.
boats going across that thing. Like I hear
Oh
stories
yeah.
all the time of guys. It's wild
Absolutely.
to me. I mean, like sinking
Yeah.
boats is it's scary stuff.
There was one on Mojave, like it's probably like 10 or 12 years ago now, where I think 2 or 3 guys broke their motors off their jack plates.
Oh
Straight
my
up,
gosh.
busted them off, like sheared the bolts and had to beach their boat and wait for help. Like it's wild out here for sure, but it's good
That
growing
is
up on these lakes. You
terrifying.
learn how to drive in rough water. But note to anybody out there who's buying a bass boat from someone in Vegas or Havas or anything like that, Lake Mead and Lake Mojave hours are probably 3 times a normal hour. So keep that in mind when you're buying a boat from somebody out here. I probably shouldn't have said that if I try to sell a boat soon, but it's real. It definitely tests your
Exactly.
equipment. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you think about it, the guys up north too. It's like, okay, if you're buying a boat from here in these certain places, like add hours and add like stress cracks. Like there's gonna be
For
more stress
sure.
cracks involved on these
Absolutely.
boats.
And then you got the guys in SoCal who pretty much use their trolling motor the whole time. Like that's where you want to buy the
Right.
boats from, is people in Southern California for sure. So
And you don't ever like think about too just Southern California weather. Like it's just nice,
for
consistent
sure.
temperature. Like, it's not like your
Oh
boat's
yeah.
got a lot of humidity and drying out. Like it's just like, yeah, you're not wrong. That's the place to buy a boat.
Yeah, if you leave something uncovered out here, your fiberglass is gonna fade in like 3 days, and your carpet's gonna be like crunchy. It's crazy how gnarly the heat is out here. I built with my buddy. I built a shade structure like an aluminum wood one for my boat. But before that, I had my old Triton out there for like literally 3 months, and I could tell a difference in like the top cap or whatever they call it, like the gunnel, the top part. Like the paint was already
Yeah,
or the gel coat was already fading, and my carpet was like toast within 3 months.
that's
It's
wild.
wild. Yeah. So
Yikes.
stream for
Dang.
sure.
No doubt. So as far as what you're fishing this year, so we were talking the ABA stuff. First of all, super cool. I think it's worth mentioning. Just I think this could help a lot of tournament organizations around the country. And I've seen it more here than I ever have moving to Idaho. Like a lot of these tournament groups do a good job bringing in local businesses and honestly, a lot of the fishermen that own businesses, right, of throwing in um, kind of prizes, and it really
Yep.
seems to bump the numbers with things. But tell us a little about what's going on in your world with the ABAs and what you saw this year.
Yeah. So my buddy Jonathan Schuyler, he's my tournament partner. He owns a company here in Vegas called Clear Solutions, and they're a glass company. And they do, I mean, think about Vegas, all the hotels on the strip. I mean, they do these giant projects with all these insane amounts of glass and all these hundreds of employees they have, giant corporation. And he's like, I want to put some money into this year and see what happens. So he threw up $10,000 for Angler of the Year for the local ABA team tournament here. We fish on Mojave and Mead, and we went from having like 35 to like 45 boats a tournament to like, I think this year I would say it averaged out at like 60 to like 75 boats. And like we had Kyle Grover and Garrett Howard come from California, Guy Williams and his partner. A lot of people traveled for it just because they had that carrot hanging in front of them, and it definitely makes a difference. I mean, it doesn't have to be 10 grand, but even if you pulled up some sponsors and threw 5 grand out there, you'd be surprised at what it could bring out. So we had it was an awesome series of fish this year. Jason Bryan just took it over, I think, last year, 2 years ago, and that guy's a freaking monster. He's so good at what he does. We have a live weigh-in for the team tournaments, 2 big TVs with a live leaderboard. He's a
No way.
wizard. So yeah, he does an amazing job. So shout out to
That's
Jason
cool.
and Wayne and the crew there. Yeah, they did a great job this season. So felt like the big leagues for a little team tournament deal. So it was fun.
Heck yeah, dude. And so did you guys get your 5 in then to be able to fish a championship?
Yeah. So unfortunately, this year we couldn't really give a good run at the AOY. I mean, I think you're at the same point now where it seems like there's a wedding every month or two. I think last year I got married in June. We got married on June 10th, and I think last weekend was our anniversary. I think I went to 7 or 8 weddings last year from my wedding on. So fishing's definitely taking kind of the back seat this year. I have another couple weddings this year, but I think it's kind of slowing down for a little bit. So it's like bachelor parties, weddings. It's like I can't get a break. And then
every weekend is freaking taken up, man.
You know the struggle. And then you got a wife to keep
do.
happy. So a lot going on. And then now I got to make these stupid things at night when I get home after work. So yeah, it's been busy, but I like it. Good to stay busy.
Yeah.
So I'm going to fish. I fished the Havasu Open this year. I could get into that one. I had a mediocre tournament. And then I'm going to fish the Lake Mead one, obviously, in September. And then the U.S. Open on Mojave. And then awesome. I'm hoping I can make the ABA championship. November is a really busy month for us for trade shows for work. But I'm going to try to sneak into that one if I can for an opportunity at a boat on 2 of my home lakes. So it's kind of like opportunity cost, right? I could make a lot of money at the trade show, or I could win a boat at my home lake. So it's going to be a tough one to make a decision on, but we'll see how it plays out.
Heck yeah, dude. No, the Western ABA is like, I don't know. I think people don't realize if you do make that championship, especially that final day, it's a 1 in 20 to 30 shot at a boat. Like, and I've had some buddies in those boats, and it's just like, yeah, man, there's not a better kind of bang for your buck. Like, yeah, maybe the tournaments are smaller in size throughout the season, the payouts, in your case, when you have sponsors and stuff like that throwing money in, but this payouts aren't anything crazy, but it's a great local team series event. I enjoy the heck out of them. And then when you go to those tournaments, and if you make that final day, man, you got a 1 in. There's not too many opportunities where you have that that small of a field fishing for a boat on a final day.
No, yeah, it's hard to come by these days. And I mean, even just a championship in general, man. I remember growing up, every one bass had their separate pro tournaments where those give a boat away every tournament. And then there was every other local team championship gave away a boat growing up. And even like team tournaments, just every team tournaments in the early 2000s. That's how like John Murray and Gary Dobbins have won like whatever insane amount of boats they've won. But like right when I started getting it figured out and like started getting decent enough to have a chance at winning a championship and won one was like the first year they stopped giving boats away locally here. So we've gotten two championship wins, and it was like right after both of them stopped giving away a boat for the championship. So it sounds pretty par for the course for my luck.
Right.
But
exactly.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, you hear about you hear about the West used to give out. I mean, everywhere, but especially the West. Like that was like the thing, right? It was like guys fished for boats. Like that's what guys did, and it was like it was boats that were given out for championships, and that was the coolest thing to see and hear about, because it was kind of like you said, a notch on the belt. Like, oh, I won, 20 boats over my career. It's like that's incredible.
For sure.
Like
who doesn't want to win a boat, man? That'd be so cool. Yeah. So it's just it was really cool to have that. I think it's hard with the economy the way it is now to get all that money back into it, to have opportunities like that again. But it's awesome to have one bass and ABA out here with giving you the chance to win the boat.
No doubt, man. Yeah. So Dock Defender. So now I've got the Facebook page pulled up, Dock Defender USA. How can folks get a hold of you, and what do things look like? The ordering process. I know this has all been a work in progress at this point. Sounds like you're moving with the waves on all of this stuff. But
no pun intended.
How can folks check it out? Yeah, literally.
Yeah. So the website is dockdefenderusa.com. It's super basic right now, so it's nothing crazy, but it's just I just do all my orders through there, so it's easier for me to keep track of them all. So you can click on the website. There's only one product listed right now. You can select your color, and anyone besides the people here in Nevada, make sure you select shipping, not pickup. I've had a couple people make that mistake that are like in Alabama or something like that. So make sure you select shipping. And I've been shipping orders within like 3 to 5 days of when you're ordering. So it's going to slow down here soon, I would think, where I can actually build up an inventory. But I've been pretty much building them to order lately. But I've been trying to turn around as quick as possible because I know people are anxious to get them. So check out the website. I have an Instagram page, Dock Defender USA, and then the Facebook page that Adam mentioned, and then TikTok. Like I said, if you're bored on a night after work and you want some entertainment, go check out my comments on there. It's pretty fun stuff. So yeah,
love it, man. Love it. Well, I love side gig stuff like this, where it's like, hey, this turns into something, and you're like, wow, this is like you're having to bring on employees, and it's not just like buddies helping now. It's just like it turns into like a whole deal, and it's cool to see the process. And it's been quick, man. I mean, we're talking about June. This kind of started in this spring.
Yeah, I mean, so I made the first set in March, and then like when John made that post, I would say it was kind of like the real start of it. So that was like the last weekend in May, and it's been nuts ever since. So I've also had like wholesale people reach out. So like I do quantity pricing. So like I have a guy that has license deals with like Skeeter and other boat brands. So he wants to buy them and slap a brand on it and send them out. So if there's any marinas, tackle companies out there, any of your guys' sponsors that wanted to do like a 50 set run of them, I offer wholesale pricing, and they can make some money on them, and we get to do some cool branded ones on there. So like Omnia Fishing or X2, or even some serious things for the website. So
there we go.
But yeah, they're a great gift for people. And they like I said, they've been selling like crazy. So I think there's something to this. I really need to pursue it, and I'm trying to figure out production a little better here. I've made a couple contacts with some manufacturing people here locally that I'm going to go meet with this week and see if I can't really start pumping them out. So,
heck yeah. No, well, I think I like the idea of the wholesaling model too. Like think about like, say you're a marina, or you're selling boats, and it's like you just include that with every boat purchase. Like what a nice thing on a brand new boat. You don't have to worry about your boat getting scratched up on the dock. Have the branding on there, have the logo on there. Like I think that's a great idea. Like you should be ripping calls to all the different dealerships once your production's set up and see if you can,
Absolutely.
get, like you said, 50 sets to go out to them. That's really cool.
Yeah. So, and then one more thing I was thinking of, if there's any high school fishermen or college fishermen listening, I was thinking of doing, like, depending on the college with their rights, like their licensing rights, with being able to put a logo on it, doing like fundraising packages. So like, I sell them 100 sets at that price, and they could sell these to their alumni or whatever people they want, and fundraise for tournaments that way too. So any of you guys listening would be interested in that, shoot me a message on Facebook or Instagram. I think that'd be a great way for both of us to make some money.
Awesome. Dude, I love it. Well, I love stuff like this. I'm glad to see you doing your thing, dude, and manufacturing something that is super helpful, because I think everyone, speaking of which, a story this week, this happened, or last week, at the California Delta. If you haven't been there, current is a crazy thing when the tides are going in and out. And so lucky enough to have some friends there that we are able to leave boats on the water, which is just awesome, at the California Delta. And so, but when I was bringing my boat back on the final day and I was pulling up to the dock, like, dude, tide was going out, just ripping. And I'm like, okay, well, what I had been doing, I had been kind of spinning my boat and going in backwards. So the next morning I could just, basically take off in the morning, and also just kind of have things hidden from people to see, anyways, graphs and all that. So I was spinning in the current, and it's like 106 degrees. It was like the hottest it had been in California in a while. And I'm just like dead after a tournament day, a horrible tournament day. And I'm just like, this is miserable, whatever else. And I'm not paying attention. And I absolutely smoked a corner of this dock, like harder than I've ever dock on my boat. And I'm just like, oh no. And I go back there, and of course there's a nice scratch gouge out of stuff. But it's like, man, I would have just taken my time, and then same deal, just had some dock defenders to tie stuff up and not worry about things. But like, oh yeah.
It's always at the end of a bad tournament when you do dumb stuff like that too. You're just brain dead, tired, pissed off at yourself, and you do something stupid to make it even worse.
Exactly right. It's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. Well, Gunnar, man, I'll let you get going. Tell your dad Happy Father's Day. Go enjoy stuff with him. And I will. And dude, I will link everything in the show description to Dock Defender and folks. I think it's a great gift for anybody. And we never talked about price. What are you priced at with the Dock Defenders?
Sorry about that. Yeah, it's $55 for a set. So that's with the 8 colors. You can pick any color you want, and I'm charging like $9 for shipping. It's more expensive than that, but I'm eating some of that cost for you guys. Nice. And then once I do the custom ones, I'll probably bump it up like $5 or more, because it's gonna be a little more cost. But yeah, between like $55 and $60. So
heck yeah.
Yep.
Heck yeah, that's a pretty reasonable investment for how much these boats are going for nowadays. So
absolutely, we spend $5,000 on a graph without thinking twice about it. So $55 isn't the worst thing.
No, and just the ease, man. I don't know. Like, I hate having to pull ropes out. They always get tangled, or like if it's a wood dock, I end up getting splinters because the rope gets stuck on something. You grab the rope, and then you're like, gosh, like, so no. I think just the pain and hassle of things is just
I got some fun video ideas with the rope and stuff like that, because that's kind of like our motto is ditch the rope. So we're gonna once all this stuff settles down, we're gonna have some fun content out there for sure. So keep an eye out on our social media.
Love it. Awesome, dude. Well, enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Certainly appreciate you, and we'll have to catch up soon, buddy.
All right, Adam. Thank you. Talk to you soon.
Yep, we will see you.
All right.